my name is Hydo, and this is the Pantheon, where today we're having a look at one of our big fractally boys. He's a massive sort of geometric shape, and he's called Esix, Fractal Bloom. He weighs in at 6 mana and is a flying 4/4. And the first time you create one or more tokens during each of your turns, you may instead choose a creature other than Esix Fractal Bloom and create that many tokens that are copies of that creature. It's pretty cool, isn't it? You can make a ton of something. Really, really nice. This creature is very powerful. 6 mana, bit of a hindrance, but we can do some things with him. So, please subscribe to me. I would love it. It would make me really happy. I'm going to be making tons more videos like these of all the new commanders that come out. And so if you'd like to see that, please subscribe. Without further ado, let's have a look at number 5. In at number 5, we have Treasure Map. So, our commander, he only cares about tokens, but it's not limited to creature tokens. So, if we're producing a bunch of treasure tokens or, anything else like that, we can convert them into massive creatures. So, Treasure Map, 2 mana artifact, pay 1, tap, scry 1. Put a landmark counter on Treasure Map. Then, if there are 3 or more landmark counters on it, remove those counters, transform Treasure Map, and create 3 colorless treasure tokens that have tap, sacrifice this artifact, add 1 mana of any mana color to your mana pool. So, this is really nice. Nice bit of ramp, and also on the flip side, it's a bit of card advantage. But we can turn these into big dudes. So, Treasure Cove is the other side. It's a land. Transforms from Treasure Map. You can tap it for a colorless, and you can tap, sacrifice a treasure, draw a card. So early game, we want to be able to, get as much mana as possible. So using the tokens for that is great. But then if our commander's on the field, we can use this on our turn, create 3 tokens, and then we can create 3 copies of something. To go along with it, we've got Skyclave Relic, another great little mana rock. 3 mana for an artifact with indestructible and kick a 3. When it enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, create 2 tapped tokens that are copies of it. And then you can tap it to add 1 mana of any colour. So again, early game, we can just play this as a mana rock. Late game, potentially get 2 tokens out of it. Then we have Replicating Ring, which is a 3 mana snow artifact that taps to add 1 mana of any colour. And at the beginning of your upkeep, put a night counter on Replicating Ring. Then, if there are 8 or more night counts on it, remove all of them and create 8 colourless snow artifact tokens named Replicating Ring with tap to add 1 mana of any colour. So if we get to those 8 counters, those night counters, I don't believe really we've seen them ever before, we can end up getting an absolute ton of tokens in our upkeep, and our commander can turn all 8 of them into a certain creature. Which brings me on to number 4. In at number 4, we've got Cuttle War Pride, which is a 6 mana, it's the 6 mana that if you look at my card, it's here on the Cuttle War Pride. Fascinating Future Sight card. It's a Cat Warrior 3/3, and it must be blocked by exactly 1 creature if able. Whenever Cuttle War Pride attacks, put X tokens into play that are tapped and attacking that are copies of Cuttle War Pride, where X is the number of creatures defending player controls. Remove those tokens from the game at end of turn. So yes, the tokens will be removed, but we can just dump a ton of tokens onto the field. Say our opponent has 10 creatures. The Cuttle War Pride attacks, we get 10 tokens, so that'll trigger our commander, and our commander can turn them into anything, and then all of them are tapped and attacking. We can get in for absolutely tons of damage, especially with some of the creatures I'm going to show you in a bit. But there's a couple of other cards that create a ton of tokens. Beacon of Creation, 4 mana for a sorcery. Put a 1/1 green insect creature token into play. For each forest you control. I thought there was a comma there. There wasn't. Shuffle Beacon of Creation into its owner's library. So reusable, and we're green-blue, so we're going to have a lot of forests. And we're going to create a ton of tokens and potentially do it over and over again. Then Avenger of Zendikar, which is one of the best cards in this deck. Making all of our tokens into an Avenger of Zendikar will cause absolute nightmares in terms of how many tokens are created. So good luck with that. And then each land will create a 1/1 counter on each of the plants for how many there is. It just spirals out of control. It enters the battlefield, create 0/1 green plant tokens for each land you control. Then landfall, Whenever a land enters the battlefield under control, put a 1/1 counter on each plant creature you control. Very, very powerful. That will win you quite a few games. Then we've got Deep Forest Hermit. 5 mana 1/1. Always love that stat line. Vanishing 3. This creature enters the battlefield 3 time counts on it. At the beginning of your upkeep, remove a time counter from it. When the last is removed, sacrifice it. When it enters, you create 4 1/1 green squirrel creature tokens. And then squirrels you control gets +1/+1. Gotta love a good squirrel token. Squirrels are possibly the best thing that's ever happened. So again, if you make all of your tokens a copy of this, you'll just end up with tons of tokens. It spirals out of control very, very quickly. And all those two cards, Avenger's Zendikar and Deep Forest Hermit, work excellently with any sort of flicker effects that you might want to play. To go along with this, we've got Azuri's Predation, an 8 mana sorcery. For each creature your opponents control, put a 4/4 green beast creature token onto the battlefield. Each of those beasts fights a different one of those creatures. So this just, however big your opponent's boards are, creates tokens for that. Your commander turns them into whatever you want. Very, very powerful. Then Thopter Assembly. It's a pretty cool card in this deck. 6 mana for a 5/5 with flying. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control no Thopters other than Thopter Assembly, return Thopter Assembly to its owner's hand and create 5 1/1 colors Thopter artifact creature tokens with flying. So at your upkeep, you just get a ton of tokens. Obviously, they become whatever you want. Finally, Aether Mutation. 5 mana for a sorcery. Return target creature to its owner's hand. Put X 1/1 green sapling creature tokens onto the battlefield, where X is that creature's converting mana cost. You bounce an Ulamog, you get in 12, 11 tokens. Really, really, really powerful. And just for 5 mana, it's pretty good. I wish it was an instant. The other sort of mutation cycle, you know, artifact mutation and aura mutation, they are instants, but I suppose creating a massive board state at instant speed is a bit of an issue. Which brings me on to number 3. Riftwing Cloudskate. 5 mana for a 2/2 with flying, and when it enters the battlefield, return target permanent to its owner's hand. Suspend 3 for 2 mana, which means that you can put it into exile, and then time counters tick down every one of your turns. Why is this here? So, if we're going to have a ton of tokens come in as something, why not have those tokens affect the board state? So, if everything came in, say we had 10 tokens coming in, we could bounce 10 of our opponent's permanents. If you're playing 1/1, potentially you could bounce all of their lands, because this can indeed target lands. Very, very powerful effect, and you can just put it on suspend. When you're ready, it comes off suspend, then you make an absolute duckload of tokens. Aether Adept is a card very similar to this. 3 mana for a human wizard with 2/2. When it enters the battlefield, return target creature to its owner's hand. A lot simpler. It just returns creatures, but it can be very effective. It's a board wipe with, you know, a good bit of token generation. Terastodon is an excellent card. You know, we can either use this on our own lands or non-creature permanents to create tokens of ourselves, or, well, actually, that's cool, actually. Terastodon, come in, blow up 3 of your lands. Those 3 lands create 3 tokens. Those 3 tokens are Terastodons. Then you've got 3 Terastodons blowing up 9 of your opponent's non-creature permanents. Yes, they get a lot of tokens, but I think I can handle that. Terastodon is an 8 mana 9/9. When it's the battlefield, destroy up to 3 target non-creature permanents. For each permanent put into the graveyard this way, its controller gets a 3/3 elephant. Pretty good. Woodfall Primus. 8 mana for a 6/6 trample. When it enters the battlefield, destroy target non-creature permanent. And it has persist, so it can come back if it dies. The tokens obviously won't come back because they'll just poof out of existence. But Woodfall Primus, excellent card, nice bit of removal. Is expensive, but you're in green-blue. You can do some ramping. To go along with this, Eternal Witness is a great card that we can have all the tokens become. 3 mana for a 2/1. When it enters the battlefield, you may return target card from your graveyard to your hand. So we can rebuy absolutely everything in our graveyard, just start churning out a ton more tokens. Dream Eater is a 6 mana 4/3 with flash and flying. When it enters the battlefield, surveil 4. If you do, when you do, you may return target non-land permanent opponent controls to its owner's hands. So this is excellent. You can dig through your decks, find the exact cards that you want with all the surveilling, and then also bounce a ton of your opponent's permanents. Really good card to copy. Finally, Spring Bloom Druid is a 3 mana 1/1, and when it enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice a land. If you do, search your library for 2 basic lands, put them onto the battlefield tapped, and shuffle your library. If you have 5 of these entering, that's 10 landfall triggers, and you can just end up spiraling out of control. It gets all the lands out of your deck, and then you can just go absolutely wild. Which brings me on to number 2. Putrefax. 5 mana for a 5/3 with Trample and Haste. And Infect. It also reads at the beginning of your end step, sacrifice it. So this is the sort of card you want to play, then create a ton of tokens, have them all become a copy of it, and you can just infect out your opponents, because obviously you only need to deal 10 infect to them. This is a great card and can just overrun your opponents, which is incredibly powerful. The haste is very important because usually tokens that you create won't have haste, but if the haste is built into the creature, they will then charge in for a ton of damage. Which brings me on to Cragplate Baloth. 7 mana for a 6/6 with kicker of 3. It can't be countered. It has hexproof and haste. The hexproof is really, really nice because we can like target it, knowing, okay, great, we're going to make a ton of tokens and our opponents can't remove it in response. And if it was kicked, it ends the battlefield with 4/1/1 counters on it. Endrace Forerunners is a 8 mana 7/7 with Vigilance, Trample, and Haste. So again, haste. When it enters the battlefield, other creatures you control get +2/+2 and gain Vigilance and Trample until end of turn. So if you have a ton of tokens coming into these, you have 5 tokens coming in, all those tokens are going to get +10/+10 from the Endrace Forerunners. So you're going to be 17/17s flying in with Trample and Vigilance. You're going to win a game there. Finally, we've got Gaia's Revenge, which is a 7 mana 8/5. Can't be countered, has haste. And it can't be the target of non-green spells or abilities from non-green effect sources. I just realised this doesn't work because our commander is green-blue. Oh well. Finally, Groundbreaker. 3 mana for a 6/1, Trample and Haste. At the end of turn, sacrifice Groundbreaker. Very similar to Putrefax, but a nice, cool, colour-shifted card. The artwork's also phenomenal. Then, the classic, Cratooth. 8 mana for a 5/5 with haste. When it enters the battlefield, creatures you control gain trample and get +X until end of turn, where X is the number of creatures you control. I mean, if you're copying this about 8 times, everyone's dead. They're dead. They're dead. You're probably dead inside, behind your vacant eyes. Then, Centaur Chieftain. 4 mana for a 3/3 with haste. Threshold. As long as 7 or more cards are in your graveyard, Centaur Chieftain has. When it enters the battlefield, creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain trample until end of turn. So if you have a ton of copies of these coming in, it's going to be +18/+18 with trample and haste. Which brings me on to my number 1 spot. Biovisionary. Biovisionary is a card I've wanted to use for a long time, and this deck uses it very, very well. 3 mana for a 2/3 human wizard. At the beginning of your end step, if you control 4 or more creatures named Biovisionary, you win the game. The nice thing is it triggers at your end step. So you just have to make 3 tokens. All those tokens become a copy of Biovisionary, and you've won the game. It is a bit anticlimactic for our opponents, They're just going to lose out of nowhere. But, well, we play the game to win, don't we, really? To go along with this, we've got Chord of Calling. Chord of Calling is an excellent tutor in this deck, as we're going to be making a bunch of tokens, and Convoking using those tokens is a great use for them. Triple green and X with Convoke, which means you can tap your creatures to help them cast your spell. Search your library for a creature card with converted marker X or less, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. So this can go and get us our Biovisionary. Drift of Phantasms is a 3 mana Defender Spirit with flying, and it's a 0/5. Not exactly the sort of card you want to be copying, but the transmutability is what we're playing it for. 3 mana, discard this card, search your library for a card with the same converted mana cost as this card, reveal it and put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. Play it only as a sorcery. So because this costs 3, this can go and get us our Biovisionary, and then we can set up to win the game. Finally, a card with cycling. Woohoo! Vedalken the Mage is a 2 mana 1/2 wizard with flash, and when it comes into play, return target sliver to its owner's hand. Not going to come up often, but occasionally you come up against a sliver deck or, a changeling based deck, and this could have an effect. Woohoo! Then the main reason we're playing it, wizard cycling. So Biovisioner is indeed a wizard. So wizard cycling, pay 3, discard this card, search your library for a wizard card, reveal it, put it into your hand and shuffle your library. So you've got your Biovisioner in hand. All you need to do is make a couple of tokens and win the game. And those are my top 5 picks for this brand new commander. He's really quite cool, you know. He's very geometric and fractally, which is always good. And you can create quite a cool deck out of it. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please subscribe and comment and like the video if you, well, liked it. If you didn't, there's no hard feelings. Thank you very much for watching and goodbye.